Alright, I am back. I trust that you are hearing me. Earlier, persons expressed that they weren't able to hear me. So I trust that you are hearing me now. So I am just waiting on individuals to join. Yeah, so we can have this evening together. Alright, while I wait on persons to join, just gonna
see what the Lord has done. Can you see what the Lord has done? What we waited for has come to pass. See what the Lord has done. On your wedding day, you're gonna sing that. Can you see what the Lord has done? When you walk into that property,
Hey Blakey, how are you? Thanks for joining. Alright, so earlier I had some challenges. Persons expressed that they were unable to hear what was being said. Are you hearing me? So I see Nakisha online. Are you hearing me, Nakisha? I could just send a message to say, yes, you're hearing me. Am I being heard? No? Alright, so I see a past student of mine, Sasha. Are you hearing me? Alright, let me just try and do something. Alright, let me know. Are you hearing? Anyone? Nakisha, you're hearing me? Okay, awesome, great. Alright, so thank you so much. As I said earlier, I had a little challenge getting online. Well, I was online actually, and I started, then someone shared with me that they weren't able to hear me. So I had to end the live, and then after ending the live, I had to switch devices so that I'll be able to get on. Hey Olive, thanks for joining. Olive and I, we go way back. She knows me from my my community, Barney side. Yes, so thank you for joining, Olive. This afternoon, it's really designated to just share with you all this journey, chronicling my why. What's the reason behind doing this book? What's the reason for sharing, and what is the aim of sharing this book? And I guess for those of you who will watch a little later, or you're on now and you're hearing, I grew up in the rural parts of Jamaica. I grew up in Westmoreland. People call it country, right? And family of 6. We had an extended we had a brother who was not necessarily my mother's child, but my father's child. So 7 of us living together, or would share from time to time in the same space. And our parents were poor. They didn't have it. We didn't grow up on luxury. We grew up, you know, having to sacrifice in order to make it. And my mother and my father would always encourage us that the only way out really is for us to be educated, for us to complete our high school studies and move on. And so for me, it was a literal push that I needed this. I need to get educated. And what is it that I wanted to be? So from the age of 2, I knew right up front that thank you, Miss Vivian, thank you for joining. Miss Vivian is from my community as well, family, grew up in her hands. Thank you so much for joining. Right, so growing up, we had that push that we needed. Our only way out of this poverty that we're in, our only way out is to be educated. But it was not just to be educated, but to be spiritually grounded, because we grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist home, and we are still Seventh-day Adventists, and our faith was deeply anchored in Christ, knowing very well that everything that we do, it comes from Him and not from what we want or what we have, because we didn't have it, but because of God's goodness and mercy is why we have gotten to this point. So early inspiration came from Mrs. Inez Wright. Well, she was family member from the community, went to her basic school on her veranda, and her veranda was in Crossroads. Yeah, and just watching her and how she dealt with us as little children, teaching us some very valuable lessons. It's okay to share your knowledge. It's okay to help another child who can't read. It's okay to share your books, or to share the bottle stoppers, or whatever it is that you brought to school. You can share it, because it's by sharing that okay. And here comes my brother Sheldon, my eldest brother Sheldon. He's not my mother's child, but he grew up in our family. And so thank you, Sheldon, for joining. We call him Shelly. He's also mentioned in the book. Very soon I'll just show you a glimpse of the cover of this book. So my early inspiration came from Miss Inez, watching her and how she dealt with us, and that passion. And I would go home and I would write on the board. You know, we live now in a board structure, so I would go home and write on the board structure, charcoal, mimicking everything that Miss Inez would be saying at school. So my mother, my father, my family, they knew exactly what happened at school each day, because I was mimicking Miss Inez. And then growing up in the Seventh-day Adventist Church really made a difference, because from a very tender age, we were given responsibilities at church, where we always living as how we should know, but we were given these opportunities and we held on to them and we used them. Thank you, Tamika, for joining. Yes, Olive, it's on Amazon. It will be released on October 18, which is my birthday. So at that point in time, you'll be able to purchase. For those who are in Jamaica, I'll have a hybrid launch earlier, after persons have started to read the book, December 7, and then you can order from me your copy, and it can be signed by me. Right, so as said, you know, this book really is chronicling, you know, what I got at school, at church, going to church, you know, leading out in Sabbath school, having the very good Sabbath school teachers who would ensure that you know your memory verses, you know your Bible. Going to all-age school, I had teachers like Mrs. White, who would just be looking out, Mrs. Nesbeth, Mrs. Peart was a very strict headmistress, principal, right? You don't play with her. And Mr. Townsend. There were so many teachers who poured into my life, who allowed me to know up front that you are capable, you can do this. And having watched that, and then I went to one of the most prestigious high school in Jamaica, Manning School, and being there and seeing how teachers would pour into what was being done, and just the life, you know, being there, and the friends that I met along the way. And I thought to myself, after getting older, I went to NCU, did my first degree, struggled to secure a job in the education system. When I did, I felt like I wanted to go for more. And so I went and I did my master's, and then I was lecturing at NCU, and went into the high school system, you know. But that's where this first part, this book ends. that first part when I went back into the high school system. There's a second part now to the book that will come out hopefully for next year this time. It's called From Heels to Platform. So the heels is both a literal, heels, and also figuratively, speak English speech, yeah, because for me, having grown up, I went to all age school bare feet, yeah, just lotion, just oil sometimes on my feet. I went to all age school, and having taken on everything that was given to me at school and making the best opportunity of what was given to me at school, I saw myself being a teacher, and being a teacher at the highest level, not just a regular teacher. I saw myself being a principal, because I had my aunts who my aunts are principals, and okay, right, yeah. So I had an aunt who was a principal, and so that for me, I wanted to go a little bit higher, and to get more out of this education system. And so, you know I went to Manning. So when going to all age school bare feet. Then when I was going to Manning school, I had only one pair of shoe. And I remember at one point in time, the shoe got damaged. They said beg for bread, and we had to go and get it fixed at the shoemaker. There was another time that I got a shoe from a committee member. So you had members like Mrs. Brown, Beverly Brown, who would be so willing to give to us because she had 4 girls. So she'd be so willing to share with us things that her girls may have outgrown or knew. She would have given it to us. And it was a brown shoe, and my father had to paint it black. And I remember going to Manning's, and there were students there who they laughed, because this girl, our shoes paint, that, this whole thing. But then my mother, when I would go home in the evenings, and I would say to my mother, this is what is happening, she would have said to me, listen, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. You're going to ensure that you put your head to the book. Your only way out is to become educated, get your subjects, and then move on. And literally that was what was done. And so I would have, I had imaginary friends, and I would tell my brothers, the ones who lived with us, that, hey, guess what? I'm going to change my shoe every day, and I'm going to have a shoe that's going to fit the color of my car, and all these things. So having gone to university, worked 2 jobs in university just to stay afloat, living with my brothers, Vernon and Omar at the time, and they would take care of the bills and some other things and so on. And I work at the cafe. Imagine working 2 jobs and studying and maintaining a good average. And so when I went into the high school system and I got an opportunity, I was now fulfilling my dreams, changing the shoes, yeah. Today I have, and it's not about being materialistic, but it's just a deep passion inside me that I try to fulfill, that deep down I'm now able to change the color of my shoe each day. I can't change the color of my car to fit that shoe because, of course, that was only a dream. That was only a dream. But I am now able to change the color of my heels to match my outfit each day going to school. That's a privilege, and that's an honor. And to see just how the Lord has used me to be of encouragement to others, to other young people. And when I saw what was happening around me, at one point in time, Nakisha and I, we worked together at thanks Mrs. Byfield for joining. That's my guidance counselor from my current place of employment, Kingston Technical High School. Um, you know, Working at Roger Clark High School, and just seeing the impact that I made while I was there. And I remember being there, and children would say, when they hear the heels coming, they say, that's Mrs. Lewis coming, and they would be running and so on, and it brought back tears, it brought joy, because they would understand the dream, the journey of wanting to wear heels. And so that is where it is literal, but also figuratively.
wearing heels is a symbol of God's grace, God's mercies, that even though I'm undeserving of it, He gives it to me every day, running over, being able to help me to transition from that place wherein I knew that my only way out was to become educated. My only way out was to just get what I needed to get, going to school and doing my best and matriculating and all of that. So it is also a spiritual it's a spiritual bonding, coming together, allowing me to realize and to understand that, listen, Carla, you can do nothing on your own. Anything that you do, it is going to be done through me, through Christ. You have to lean on me for strength, for guidance. And so, hence the book, Bare Feet to Heels, literal bare feet, literal heels, but also the figurative part of it, that out of nothingness, out of just a desire, out of just faith, God can increase that which He has given unto you. And that's one of my whys for doing this book, to encourage. I would have seen going back into the high school system. I lectured at NCU for a while, and then going back into the high school system, and going back into the high school system, I saw myself reaching, that plateau, going up, where I became at one point in time. I was the thank you, Denisha, for joining. That's one of my friends from, well, I know her from Manning School. Yeah, we all went to Manning together. So thanks for joining, Denisha. Thanks for watching. When I went to Roger Clark High School, I took the children out for medals, JCDC, because I'm a food and nutrition teacher. And having seen myself being the TVET teacher, that's a technical vocation, education and training teacher of the year for 2018. That was only God. Only God could have caused that to happen. I was now the face of TVET in Jamaica, being known by ministry officials for the level of work that I would have put in a short space of time, because I went back into the high school system February 2016, and by September 2018, I was crowned TVET Teacher of the Year for Jamaica. And that to me was something that was just so incredible, something that was just so great and mind-blowing just to know that, okay, I am in this position where I am touching the lives of other teachers and students. And for that, I am truly grateful. I'm seeing Elizabeth Reese Hibbert, and thanks for joining. She's a past student from Roger Clark High School, but I taught her at NCU. And thank you for joining and for being here. So, just for those who are online, thank you, Chantel, for joining. And Chantel is from Roger Clark High School. She works there currently. So just to show this is the cover of my book, From Bare Feet to Heels. Yes, so once in a lifetime you get to view it on the live, but if you purchase the book, then of course you'll have it forever. And that's literally me on the back there walking. So it is both literal and figurative, that I am moving from bare feet to heels, moving from a place wherein only dream, yeah, and then moving forward to realizing those dreams, to be touching lives. And I want to touch lives forever. I want to be able to reach young people. And so this book, this book is a motivation for young people. It's not done because I want to make money, because there's no money to be made from it. It's been published on Amazon, and so Amazon's going to take what they need out of it. It's more so to encourage young people, to encourage older folks too. Thank you, Oliver. I know you're in the UK, so it's almost midnight. I know you're a nurse, you're working long shift, but thank you so much, my child. Thank you for coming on and for sharing it with me. So this book is to motivate. As I said, it doesn't have to only motivate young people, but older persons can be motivated from this book. It doesn't matter where you are in life. You can pick up the pieces and start all over again. And I'm just going to just read something. Thank you, Tiffany. We call her Arnie's. Yes, Arnie's. Thank you for joining. She's from Barneyside. So thank you, my Barneyside peeps, for joining. Thank you for being there. Thank you, Tiffany, for joining. So I'm just going to read just a short a section of this book. You know, it says financial struggles and faith. Financial struggles and faith. It says life was challenging, requiring me to work twice as hard as many of my peers. So this was while I was at NCU studying. And I'm getting teary-eyed, but please understand. So it says there were numerous occasions when I had to wait patiently to speak with the director of finance or the finance officer supervisor because I didn't have I didn't have enough money to complete payment for registration. Sometimes I had to wait until the first week of school for registration to occur. Thank you, Yashin. Thank you, Apple, for joining. At semester's end, I needed an exam permit to sit my examinations, but God always provided a way out. He reminds us that while we're asking, He has already answered our prayers, and He proved repeatedly that He was my sustainer. I cannot forget how diligently I worked throughout the semester to cover payments for my exam permit, especially when my siblings had fallen short financially. I went to the student finance office to collect my permit, only to be told I didn't have sufficient funds to receive one. I was simultaneously baffled and bewildered. How could this be possible? I was certain I had earned enough based on the hours I had worked. An investigation revealed that my supervisor had deducted thousands of dollars from my income, claiming I had consumed that amount at the cafeteria. The audacity of this accusation. He possessed no evidence to prove his deductions were accurate. I wasted no time seeking justice. I went directly to the president of the United Student Movement, USM, and you know, if you're in Jamaica, if you're an NCUP, you'd hear of his MPs and MP, Robert Bigwag Miller, a vibrant and no-nonsense individual, to plead my case. Armed with evidence and supported by other school officials, he reimbursed every cent. So this little part is titled, you know, Financial Struggles and Faith. So as I said earlier, I'm a little bit teary-eyed. Bear with me, you know, but just um, looking back, and for those who are just joining, this is the cover of the book. Yeah, it will be out October 8th that you can purchase. This is the paperback cover. There's also the hard cover. And I just want to read from the back to you. It says, from dreams to destiny, a journey of faith, determination, and triumph. What happens when a barefoot girl from rural Jamaica refuses to let poverty define her future? And by the way, I am not rich. I'm not yet rich. I'm rich in Christ, rich spiritually, but not yet totally rich, right? But it says, in this inspiring memoir, Dr. Carla Boswell takes readers on an extraordinary journey from the green hills of Barneyside, Westmoreland, to the halls of higher education and beyond. Born into a family of 7 children, where formal education ended at elementary school for her parents, Carla discovered early that being average was never an option. From the moment a beloved teacher ignited her passion for education, Carla knew her calling. Armed with nothing but determination, faith, and her mother's fierce belief that better will come, she navigated the challenges of attending Jamaica's most prestigious high school while often going barefoot, faced discrimination as a country girl, and worked multiple jobs to fund her university education. But this is more than a story of academic achievement. It's a testament to the power of the unwavering faith, the importance of mentorship, and the courage to dream beyond circumstances. Through moments of profound struggle, from having no lunch money to facing workplace discrimination, Carla never lost her goal. From Bare Feet to Heels chronicles a remarkable transformation from a 2-year-old starting basic school to earning a master's degree with a perfect 4.0 GPA, all while raising a family and breaking barriers in education. It's a story that proves no dream is too big when faith meets determination. For anyone who has ever been told they're too young, too ambitious, or that their dreams are impossible, this book is your reminder that God has already prepared the path to your destiny. Never allow anyone to tell you that you cannot achieve what your mind has conceived. And so that's the book, that's the back section of the book. Of course, this book will be available um, and Amazon on October 18th, paperback and also hard copy. You can get your copy there and support the story. You can purchase it for a young person just to encourage them, just to motivate them that despite where you are coming from, despite how you start, your end is what is important. And I am grateful and thankful to my tribe, those who support me, support my dream, because I know this is not the end. I know that God has bigger and better for me. It's just for me to remain humble and faithful to Him and allow Him to work through the various aspects of my life to refine me, that I will come out as pure gold. And I think that should be the aim of everyone, despite your challenge, despite your circumstances. It doesn't determine where you come from. For those who know my mom, like Olive, who is on and Ornies, my mom used to sell in the market, so she would take goods down to Sablaman Market, and that's where she would be selling on a Friday, just to make sure that we have enough to go to school and to get what we need to get. Guess what? There were 6 of us in the family now. So Sheldon is 7, but Sheldon has his mother, so he wasn't living with us. My older sister is a registered nurse, that's Tamar, registered nurse, marriage and family counselor. She's also a medical missionary. My brother Omar, he's an electrician, does his own thing. He was online earlier. There is Dwight, he's the mechanic, worked at one of those top companies in Canada. There is Vernon, who is also an electrician, and he does AC, and he currently works at one of those. Well, he has his own business, but he currently works for Cougar as an auto technician in America. And then you have myself, who is a teacher. And then there's Raquel, who is, we call her Daisy, and she is a medical technologist. So despite growing up poor, despite not having it, despite not being privileged, I'm going to read another little section of this book that is going to just open up another little part for you, that will tell you, that will share with you that, listen, it is not where you start, but it is where it is where you go and what you do that makes you who you are. It is because of God's goodness and mercies why we are alive, and why it is that God can work it out for you. So I'm going to just share this with you. Thank you, Acacia, for joining. That's my cousin. And thank you, Monique, for joining as well. So this is the part, it says, learning to share and sacrifice. When mom earned money from her sewing or dad from his painting jobs, Raquel and I would receive $20 to share. As the older sister, I divided the money, giving her $2 at recess to buy fritters, which we would share. And by the way, Miss Vivian is on, so she used to sell at the school gate. We would buy curry, they put the curry in the flour and make the batter at the fritter. So we'd buy fritter from Miss Vivian and also from Miss Ina. There were days when I denied myself so she could have the food she desired. Our cousin Shakira, we nicknamed her Boopsie, she noticed what we were doing, that we were sharing. And what Boopsie would do, because Miss Nana, Miss Nana, so for Cassian and Monique and Olive, Miss Nana very well. And she would take, so Miss Nana had a shop, and here it was my cousin Boopsie, we call her, well, Shakira is her name, we call her Boopsie. she would take snack from Miss Nana's shop and take it to school and give to us because she realized that we had to be sharing at break time, you know. So so after I take out the $2 out of the 20, there's $18 left. All right. Hi Nardia, thanks for joining, my dear. We went to NCU together. Yeah, we were top students there. Thank you so much for joining. And yes, thank you so much, Miss Viv, for your words of encouragement. So after we took out the $2, right, we would have $18 remaining. And we used to purchase two $7 sweet biscuits from Blacker's shop. So those were from Barneyside, you know, Blacker. So we would purchase those sweet biscuits from Blacker. And we would buy the $2 sock again. We would buy it from Miss Vivian or from Miss Ina or from the shop at Blacker. Miss Colleen would operate it sometime. And that was our lunch. Some days we attempted to purchase. Some days we attempted to purchase what we considered goodies for lunch, though this was usually required sacrifice elsewhere. During those moments, I pledged to myself to always do my best. Right, so let me get myself together. All right, so during those moments, I pledged to myself to always do my best to become a successful teacher. Though Miss White once suggested, and those of you who know Miss White, she once suggested I should become a lawyer instead, you know, because she